Hey, it's Aaron, the metal theologian. Let me just adjust this shit here. Alright, well, it's fine. Um, yes, this fucking record is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. Like, in a lot of ways, it's mediocre. But, there's this Russian band called Galactica. There's actually kind of a cheap record. It's a Melodia one, so, it's 1989, it says, so. But, that's the old Soviet label, so, the disillusion. Listen to this, though. He sings this funny voice in this sort of dirgy, riff, which could be cheesy if they delivered it just a little bit differently. But then, it's like something a little kid would do, But he fucking does it on this record, and it's awesome. I swear I've never heard another fucking record where the guy does that kind of shit with his voice. It's so awesome. Yeah, check this out. The back is all cheap and shit, too, and the cardboard is super thin. But these are the gems, man. So I actually have soda today. Now there's no store that's sort of the impetus for this video. I'll tell that in a minute. But the Rofo Pop seemed to go over pretty well in the last video. Got a lot of questions about it, a lot of a lot of viewer engagement on the soda. So this is the other one that I got. If you didn't watch the last one, I got this in Maryland at a rest stop when I drove up to New York a couple weeks ago. And this thing is mostly notable, first of all, for the fact that it's pineapple flavored. There was pineapple, orange, and grape. And I got the grape and the pineapple because every orange, whatever, sun-kissed. The orange soda is always available, but the pineapple, the grape, you don't see around as much. So, yeah, the other thing is that this 24 fluid ounce container was about $1.69 at the rest stop, and Coke was like $2.50 or something like that. I don't remember now, but and also for 16 ounces. So clearly this is the cheap shit, But I like the grape one, so we're gonna try this one and see how it is. All right, here we go. I bet it's gonna be fantastic. I mean, what's not to like, Oh, it's awesome. It's a lot more refreshing than I expected. Or maybe I'm just thirstier than I thought I was. I'm gonna try to bring this a little closer because it seems like in my videos that I talk too fast. When I watched one the other day. And that can be a little hard to hear, so I'm trying to fix that shit. But, if I fixed it too much, it wouldn't be the same, so it is what it is. Yeah, it's got a little bit of sort of soda bite to it, but fundamentally, it's like an artificial pineapple flavor, It's really good. It's sweet. It's not as sweet as you might expect, but, there's no paucity of sugar in this either, Yeah, it really hits the spot. The only thing it's missing is caffeine. It's funny they call this 2 servings per container, as if... I guess it's 2 12-ounce servings, but, It's America. Fucking 12-ounce serving my ass. So I've kind of been listening to a lot of sort of wimpy music lately. I've kind of been in the mood for it, but... Because I was kind of inspired because I've been listening to some corny-ass shit anyway. I just found myself enjoying some kind of cheesy records. I've talked about them, like that YNT record I was all over last time. Even that Trilogy record, that was kind of super corny, but... I mean, not super corny, only kind of super corny, right? But I was all over that shit. I played that record again today, in fact. So I was like, well, maybe I should sort of embrace it. I thought it was close, okay? Because I have this weird relationship with glam, where, some glam stuff I really like. Early Motley Crue I can totally hang with, And I don't object to glam in principle, as long as, it isn't too pretty, you know what I mean? Which is just like anything else, you know what I mean? I'd say the same thing about fucking jeans and a t-shirt, If it's too pretty, it's not going to be cool anymore, But what I'm finding is, I think that what I'm realizing is that what I like about glam is when it's AOR, because the glam, a lot of glam shit still puts me off, when it gets too into the blues or too into just shit, and whereas the straight AOR shit, I was thinking maybe it was more up my alley, but I pulled a couple things out that go really far in that direction, like this fucking Odyssey record. And I don't know, man. I mean, it's not terrible, but this is really fucking cheesy. Probably the cheesiest thing. Well, these are kind of the big ones. Like, this is Odyssey, by the way. This apparently this thing used to be like some big dollar rarity, but I guess a bunch of them turned up or something like that. So of course that's enough for me to be curious about it. And I was gonna say it looks about as good as it sounds about as good as it looks, but looking at them again, it doesn't actually it doesn't sound as good as these guys look, because those guys look pretty good. God, that font too. Isn't it Chicago? That used to be like the default font on a Mac. 1987, Utica, New York. Anyway, this is really cheesy. Like, there's a fucking song in here called Becky, and that kind of sums this record up, you know? Like, it's a rock band, you know? And they're going for, like, the hard rock, but they're definitely, let's put it this way, they didn't just put their soft side into the ballads, you know what I'm saying? They kind of put their soft side into the whole fucking thing. This is the first track on this record. Isn't it weird how it just sort of meanders like this after sounding so weird? Maybe it's the second track, actually. I don't know where it breaks, but... Anyway, so this was too much, right? And, yeah, it's funny. I pulled this out today, actually, because I felt like hearing that little part where they quote Black Magic. And I'd be overstating if I said I didn't enjoy it at all, but this is not what I was in the mood for. This is a great album if you're in a mood for, like, something thrashy, sort of almost death, but not at all stylized like what death metal is, sort of when you imagine it in your head, you know? This is a great record for that Polish band, Quo Vadis. And I'm pretty sure there's a reissue of this. It might be a little easier to get than an original. Oh yeah, but this was the big one where I started checking myself, okay? Yeah, like I pulled this one out too. And I played this record 3 times, okay? It's pretty wimpy, right? But 2 times I really enjoyed it, and the 3rd time I thought it sucked. So there you go. And then on the other one, as I pulled this record out, I actually got this for free because my record dealer friend in Colombia. No, you know something? He gave me the second one, but we were talking about it. He was like, "Oh no, it's not so bad." So he gave me a copy of the second one, and then I found this later on for a dime when the record store here was going out of business. So anyway, I always thought this was just a fucking piece of shit, like one of those weird, inexplicable things that Martin Popoff gives a fucking 10 to, and it's a goddamn turd. I mean, look at this shit. Looks like it should be back on fucking... Well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, the point is, I always kind of thought this was crap. And now I think about half of it's crap, okay? But, like, half of it I kind of really dig. So, you know, maybe I'm sort of... I don't know, man. Maybe I'm, like... maybe I'm getting in touch with my inner, like, wimp rocker. Or maybe I'm just, like, playing some weird head game with myself. But I don't know. Oh, here's... Oh... I want to make sure we took a look at that guy right there. I suppose on days when I'm feeling like him, that's when I like to listen to the Gamma record, you know. Simon Magnus is pretty wimpy too, but a better record than that. This one's good too. This one I just got. This is, I don't know. It's a rare one that someone reissued, so of course I was curious. But apparently these guys are from Gibraltar. When I hear the band is from an unlikely place like that, I tend to be a little bit skeptical. But it got a Spanish release, like only a Spanish release. Which probably means they just had it pressed up and brought it to a few record stores near where they were in Spain, right? Yeah, but this record is really wimpy. Like, if you take like the idea of melodic metal and like sort of go as absolutely like down sort of the yuck hole with it as you kind of can, you sort of end up with Oracle, except for the fact that Oracle is good. Like, if you go down there and you suck, you end up sounding like that Scepter record. I can't remember what the record's called, but it's like a Jesus metal band, just total like AOR crap. I listened to it once all the way through just to see if I could hack it. I wish I could remember the fucking album title, but anyway, they suck. It doesn't fucking matter. It's one of those records, in fact, that's kind of rare, but it's not very expensive, and that's why, because everybody who would spend that on a record knows it sucks. But Oracle doesn't suck. Oracle's about as good as the cover, once again. Because, see, that cover is really good, right? But if you look a little bit closer, like, you know, the pastels kind of keep it from giving you that really special feeling. You know what I mean? For like, oh, this is a fucking gem. You know, that special feeling. And like the unicorn is kind of cheesy, and it's like, you know, and that's kind of how the whole record is. You know, I'll throw it on for a minute. It's fucking. I think I've hyped Galactica plenty. This is probably the most hype they've gotten since 1989, when the fucking record came out. No, maybe not. For all I know, these guys made 10 more records. But, you know, it's funny. There are a few bands like this where, like, right around that time, they seem to get distribution in the U.S. Like, Avgust is one, and Aria, a couple of their records kind of turn up. And they're never the best records by these bands, you know. But in some cases, they just seem like one and dones over here. But over there, they, like, kept making records for a decade, which I guess isn't really a surprise if... you know, everyone watching this thinks about how much they know about, like, day-to-day life inside of... I was going to say inside of Russia, but how about inside the Soviet Union when it was falling apart, man? That must have been weird. You know? What an understatement. It's got to be one of those things where you look back on it and go, yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that actually happened. I feel that way about a lot of episodes in my life, so... I'll have some pineapple fucking... What's this shit called? Rofo pop. So, this is kind of great. Like, they're definitely like, they're putting the guitar front and center, but that keyboard is not hiding. It is right out there standing next to him going, you know what I'm saying? Like the fucking guitar is doing this, the keyboard's going. And I don't even mean the keyboard player, I mean the actual keyboard. It's so dated, man. But I really kind of love this thing. So I was talking with Chris from Dixieland Farms about Archie comics, which he brought up for some reason. And a little fun fact about the Metal Theologians, when I was a really little kid, I really loved Archie. Like, I even tried to watch that fucking Riverdale show, but it's just too much distance. It's not like going back to like shit I liked in my teens. It's like early, I mean, this is some of my earliest memories, okay? But like the very first time I ever heard of Kiss or the Village People were, you know, in the back of those old comic books, they had all these ads like for the X-ray specs and shit like that. And they had these little pendants that were, I'm sure, really cheap. But it was like Kiss and the Village People, I remember. I think ABBA they had too. So that was the first time I ever heard of any of those bands. I think I was already into Simon and Garfunkel then, but you know. God, so I was a really little kid. So anyway, I remember one time we were, I was like out or something like that with my mom, and we were at some place, which I didn't, since I grew up Orthodox, I didn't recognize it as the institution of the Christian bookstore, you know? Like the whole concept was so Protestant, and like that was just, I hadn't been exposed to that at all, you know? Even though I knew that most of the kids around me were either Catholic or Lutheran, and I was the only one who was Orthodox, I didn't have any awareness at all of that sort of cultural dynamic, you know what I mean? And what the Christian bookstore as an institution, like, represents in America. So anyway, I was just some little fucking kid, right? Like 6 or 7 years old. And they have a newsstand, there's fucking Archie comics. I'm stoked, you know, because all the other shit in the store is just boring, right? So I asked my mom if I'd get some, and she got me a few of them, you know? And I went home and I was reading through them, and I was like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here, you know? And, you know, in retrospect, I didn't think of this until I was talking about it with Chris, but I think that's my first ever memory of feeling kind of screwed. Because I was this little kid, and it was like, and back then, and it wasn't about the fact that it was, you know, Christian or anything, because, you know, I was a Christian too. I didn't just believe, I like took the shit for granted, you know what I mean? And from my perspective, well, the Protestants, they did things a little differently, but they had the right idea, you know, so, like, there was still this sort of weirdness to the book, though, you know? It wasn't that, it was just, I don't know, I mean, just, I guess the way it sort of, like, drives the point home or something. I don't know, whatever you can do as a 6-year-old. But yeah, I think I felt kind of screwed, and I didn't really identify that feeling until 44 years later. Anyway, yeah, I made a note about this, because a lot of times I'll come up here and I'll have a story, and then I'll forget when I'm actually making the video. And I wrote Archie Christian, because one time, God, like 10 years ago or something, the last time this came up in conversation, I asked someone if he had ever heard of Archie Christian comics. And he was like, who's Archie Christian? And I was like, no, the Christian comics that were like Archie comics. you hear that synth? Yeah, I wonder how many people have memories of feeling the first time they felt screwed. It's such a part of life, you know? And here's a really cool record that really isn't wimpy. This is Viper. Merciful Metal put me onto this one. And this is a No Remorse reissue. You know, I'd order it from overseas, but if it weren't for that, this would have been a $20 record. So, perfectly reasonable reissue. This is Viper, Soldiers of Sunrise. And now they look awesome. I mean, this fucking guy right here, I'll buy any record he plays on. So, yeah. Anyway, this one, it's like, I think it's like 87 or somewhere in there. I don't remember right off. But I was surprised at how much of like a German power metal vibe this really had in places. There were parts where it really, and a lot of it's just the way it vibed out, but like with sort of the like the fast rhythm underneath the sort of, you know, majestic, like almost too melodic, you know, chorus, that sort of thing. Yeah, and I was really digging this a lot, man. I haven't really internalized this record yet like the way I expect to, so it's gonna get played a few more times, but I'm getting a lot out of that one. And this is a cool one too, because, you know, I usually reach for Chained and Desperate. I don't have the third Chateau. But this is a cool record too, man. But it's kind of, let's put it this way. I maintain that the best new wave of British heavy metal music was on the 45s and on compilations, and the LPs never lived up. This album does not do anything to, it doesn't put a chink in my armor, let's say, okay? As good as they look, because they do look pretty awesome. No, you know. But that doesn't mean this record doesn't scratch the itch, man. Like, if I'm gonna go, like I made mac and cheese earlier, right? If I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna be, like, at the stove, like, whisking a roux for a couple minutes before I put the shit together, I'm perfectly happy to have this record playing in here while I'm doing my thing, so. Yeah, so take that for what it's worth. Don't go way out of your way for that record, but if you come across one for less than $10, it's totally worth it. Let's see, here are a couple more that I was going for, looking for a little bit of a wimpy thing with. This one, actually, ironically, the reason I have this one is because it's a heavier one, but yeah, this is another one my dealer friend in Colombia taught me into. It might have been when I was buying this that he gave me that Gamma record, in fact. I don't think so, though. I think it was a different time. Yeah, anyway, this is a pretty good record, but ironically, you know, what I was saying about the glam, how I don't like it when they go bluesy, and the AOR stuff I can handle a little bit more. I thought it might have some of that songwriting. This actually sounded a little bit too much in that bluesy direction for what I was in the mood for. I mean, it's totally not too much. It's not like, you know, a Great White or something like that, or let alone like Kingdom Come, where it just feels like they've lost the thread, you know? Yeah, this one definitely has sort of more of a metallic crunch to it, you know? But for the mood I was in, it didn't really hit the spot the way I was kind of hoping it would, you know? It's not an incredible album anyway. It's a good album, but it's not incredible. Yeah, this is another kind of corny one. Like, I was looking for wimpy on this one. I remember it being corny, and I thought it was kind of wimpy, and it's really more just kind of, more just corny and not so much wimpy. Some real butt rock moves in it too. In fact, let me find the inner for this bad boy, and then I'll throw that on for a second, and we can cut it. Like, the first song is great, but then the second song gets all like butt rock. So I'm gonna put on that second one so you can hear this fucking ridiculous chorus, because it's kind of genius too. You know, it's just, I seriously can't decide if I love this or if I hate it, and I've had this record for, I mean, not 20 years, but it's been more than a couple of years, you know? I definitely love the cover. And what puts it over the top is the pink, you know? The cover's kind of obvious. I mean, the drawing's actually shitty in a really good way. I was going to say an almost too obvious a way, but it's really not. See that Gene Simmons thing he has going on, too? Like, between that Gene Simmons thing and the fact that the vibe on this is just kind of like a crap... I mean, this is really kind of crap writing, I think, you know? I understand what they're doing too. I mean, and for what it is, it accomplishes it. But it's not like, you know, what I really look for in a metal record anymore. You know, I do like a little bit more sort of intelligence when I can find it. You know. It's funny how I say that after like shitting on how stupid all this stuff is over and over and over. But it's in there, and you know I love this shit, or else I wouldn't spend so much time talking about it, and you wouldn't fucking listen to me talk about it. You'd love it too. So we're all on the same page here. Yeah, this is a good soda. It's not really special, but for just like an ordinary pineapple soda, totally hits the spot. Let's get these guys again here. Because they do look pretty fantastic. I mean, that's the thing. How can you pass on this? Oh, I never got to the point. What really makes this is the pink. But you probably already figured that out. You knew it was coming. It's so good. Look, they have like this fucking like, is that like their emblem or like their seal or something? Like, if you made a t-shirt that, like if I had made the t-shirt that, I would feel like the joke was on me when I was wearing it around, you know? I don't think that would stop me or anything. It'd be funny though if you're like, hey, what is that HH on your shirt? It'd be better than HR for Heathen's Rage, like Human Resources. Oh, that's the most unfortunate one out there, I think. But like HH, should be like, oh, it's kind of a shitty band with a record I'm not sure if I like or not. Actually, I love this record, but some of the songs like antagonize me, and this is kind of one of them, you know. So yeah. You have anything to close this out? Oh yeah, I pulled this out too. Another little shout out to Merciful Metal. This is not an original. It does have the insert though. But it's an insert though. It's not a printed inner sleeve. Anyway, I don't like this record as much as he does, but I do like this record. It's probably the best of the first four Panteras, in fact. I've kind of been partial to I Am the Night, but I think I'm being won over on this one. So, all right, there we go. Thanks for watching. Oh shit, I was going to show this one too, a Canadian one. This one really isn't wimpy at all. This is pretty straight ahead metal. You know, like a 7 out of 10 record. Like you can put it on at any time and enjoy it. But it's never going to rip your face off, you know? Sid and X, that's like the guy's name backwards or something, so. Alright, I have a lot of things to say. I don't want to make the video long, just to make it long. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate it.